Higher Learning is a show about adults learning interesting facts while under the influence of marijuana. This show is filmed in Vermont, where it is legal to smoke. The staff involved in the show want to be clear that we do not support its use by those too young or where it is illegal to partake in such behavior. While this show doesn't show the usage of drugs or use coarse language, it is not intended for children. Parental discretion is advised. Now, let's get to the burning and learning. Welcome to Higher Learning, a class in disjointed education. It's the show where every other week he comes in high.
Hello.
He's currently high on an edible. And then I teach him 25 facts on a topic. This week's topic, we're doing 25 facts about 80s music. Now, a couple of them, it's music related and took place in the 80s, but it's about bands that aren't normally associated with the 80s necessarily in every case.
Yeah.
But all of these things took place in the 80s. All of these things are music.
I could be taking notes.
You should, except then...
I mean, my notes like this would not help me.
It'd be just like
doodles
drawing.
and stuff.
All right, so you ready to learn?
I think so.
You gonna actually try to pay attention?
I don't have any food. Comment down below. Get a burger.
Ozzy Osbourne bit the heads off of two doves at a record label meeting. Rumor has it he did it to shut up a PR woman.
I bet that worked.
MTV started broadcasting in the United States August 1st, 1981. They originally played music videos 24 hours a day. The first music video that they played was the Buggles song, Video Killed the Radio Star.
Oh my goodness.
You knew that.
I did, but like I'm remembering that now.
But that's not
a
the
perfect video.
That's not the
start.
thing I'm going to ask you about.
Of course you're not.
Because I know you know
You're
it.
gonna say, when did they play their first video? And I'll say 1981. Man.
If you remember.
Yeah, well.
Frank Zappa's son Dweezil and his daughter Moon Unit formed a band in the 80s called Fred Zeppelin.
I'm so sorry.
Fred Zeppelin.
Fred Zeppelin would come from those names.
4 streets in Liverpool were named after each member of the Beatles.
Respect.
See, that's why it's not...
That's respect.
The Beatles aren't really an 80s band since they
But
broke
that
up in the
happened
70s.
in the 80s.
But, yes. Michael Jackson's Thriller album has sold more than 110 million copies, making it the greatest-selling album of all time.
110 million?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I had it on cassette. I have it on vinyl. I have the CD. Like, wow. That's just one person.
And the money goes to his kids, so...
Well.
Winner.
Frankie Goes to Hollywood had that single, Relax, Don't Do It, right? Which was banned by the BBC. Despite this, the song reached #1 on the UK singles chart and ended up spending 41 weeks in the chart.
Good. Good.
Other stations could play it. It was just not the BBC. Michael Jackson won 8 Grammys in 1984, 7 for Thriller, and 1 for the audiobook he did for E.T. the Extraterrestrial. He broke the record for the most Grammys won in a single year.
How many?
8.
8? And
7
one of them
for one album and 1 for a book on tape.
Jeez.
Can you imagine hearing Michael Jackson read you the story of E.T.?
Yeah, and my little boy... Never mind.
Cyndi Lauper became the first woman in the history of the Billboard Hot 100 to have 4 singles from one album in the top 5.
Say your name again?
Cyndi Lauper. 4 out of 5 of the...
Top 5 were
her off one album. She was the first one. No, I'm not saying that...
Cyndi Lauper?
You know, yeah.
I did not expect that from her.
Mm-hmm. Tipper Gore formed the Parents Music Resource Center, or PMRC, in response to the filth she heard on her daughter's copy of Prince's Purple Rain album.
Purple Rain? Filth on Purple Rain?
I mean, Prince has always had very sexual lyrics.
Oh my goodness.
Stevie Wonder's music was banned by the South African apartheid government after he dedicated the Oscar he won for the song I Just Called to Say I Love You to Nelson Mandela. Well, since they had him in jail, they were like, oh, well, then you can't have your music played here, your band. Wham was the first Western pop group to perform in China. They played a concert in Beijing's Workers' Stadium in a 10-day visit, a historic 10-day visit. Dire Straits' Brothers in Arms was the first album to sell more copies on CD than on vinyl, because that was when they were switching, and that was the first one to sell more CDs.
In the 80s?
Yep.
And now we're switching from CD to vinyl?
Basically. Well, it went to MP3 before that, and that's still
MP4.
the main thing.
No, MP4 is video.
Yeah. Anyway, to date, the album sold more than 30 million copies worldwide.
Wow.
Yep. Michael Jackson bought the publishing rights for most of the Beatles' music for $47 million, outbidding Paul McCartney to do so. And that's when they stopped being friends. They had done two songs. He's like, Paul's version of it, he says, he asked me how you could make more money in the music industry. I said, buy entire catalogs of bands and then, put it into like commercials and stuff. And he's like, oh, what a good idea. I'll buy yours.
I mean, that's some of the best music to buy.
Well, they stopped being friends over it. In September 1985, a United States Senate hearing on rock censorship began in Washington, D.C. Heavy metal singer Dee Snider of Twisted Sister, rock star Frank Zappa, and country singer John Denver all testified against the Parents Music Resource Center.
John Denver?
Yep. They thought that, this guy wants to testify? Absolutely. He'll be on our side. He's clean.
Heck
and he's
yeah.
like, nope. People thought my song Rocky Mountain High about the great feeling in the Rocky Mountains was a drug-coded song, and I got banned and I got in a lot of trouble for it. And he goes, so I'm not a big censorship fan.
Man, John Denver.
Yep.
Like the other two I'd expect.
Aretha Franklin became the first woman inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the 80s.
Aretha Franklin?
Mm-hmm.
Respect.
Wow.
I came up with that like this, though. Like, that's even better.
The Beastie Boys became the first act to be censored on American Bandstand.
Man.
And everybody was
so
lip-syncing
dumb.
on there.
It's so dumb.
Which meant, like, they should have just... whatever.
So
MTV
dumb.
Europe was launched in August of 1987. And the first video they played was Money for Nothing by Dire Straits, as in the one that starts with, I want my MTV. So both times they started a new version, they had, or the first two, they had like funny ways of starting. Video Killed the Radio Star on the first 24-hour video channel, followed by I Want My MTV, because Europe had been saying they wanted a version, so that's the first thing that they got.
That's awesome.
I like that. Elton John auctioned off many of his items from his personal collection, including memorabilia and stage-worn clothing at Sotheby's in London for a total of $8.5 million.
Wow.
The teenager that Bruce Springsteen pulls up on stage in the Dancing in the Dark music video was the not yet famous Courtney Cox.
I knew that one. Everybody knows that one.
Mm-hmm. The opening guitar riff for the Guns N' Roses song Sweet Child of Mine was originally a scale that Slash used to warm up before shows. Izzy Stradlin started playing chords along with it, and the rest is now history. That na-na-na-na-na, it was just him like tuning his guitar and like getting limbered up for the show.
Really?
And then it turned into like a smash. Robert Palmer's song Addicted to Love was originally intended as a duet with Chaka Khan.
I don't know that person.
Chaka Khan, like, oh my God.
Like, name a song.
Chaka Khan.
Yeah, that doesn't ring any bells.
Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire is a history lesson written into a song. He wrote the song in response to the claim it was easier to grow up in the 50s than the 80s, because 80s kids were like, oh, we've got it tougher. Just like kids now, oh, we got it tougher. No, you don't. Trust me, you don't. Each verse was a new decade, and the lyrics list all the major historical events beginning from 1949 until Joel's present day when he recorded it, 1989. So 50 years of history.
It's a lot.
John Mellencamp hated that he had changed his stage name to Johnny Cougar. His success made it hard to change back. So in the 80s, he slowly did it by becoming John Cougar Mellencamp, and then eventually took off the Cougar and became John Mellencamp. But he was told at first, you got to, like, that's not going to work. He's like, I don't know, my middle name's Cougar. So they're like, Johnny Cougar. And he hated it. So,
I mean, it's bad.
I mean, it is. But, you know.
Johnny Cougar.
But they were like, who's going to buy a record from someone named Mellencamp? What a stupid name. Right. Well, you only know that because you like his music now. A group I've mentioned earlier, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, was originally called Holocaust.
Oh, my goodness.
They changed their name. And they got their new name from an old headline about Frank Sinatra becoming a movie star. Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
You know, that's better.
Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel is the most played music video of all time on MTV and was awarded at the MTV Music Video Awards that year, 9 categories he won. Okay, the most awarded MTV video ever.
9 awards.
Yep. They were Video of the Year, Best Editing, Best Special Effects, Best Art Direction, Best Concept Video, Best Direction in a Video, Best Male Video, Best Overall Performance, and Most Experimental Video.
For Sledgehammer?
Mm-hmm.
By Gabriel.
Peter Gabriel.
Peter Gabriel.
I wanna be your sledgehammer. Yep, that one.
Okay, I thought so.
All right. So that's 25 facts about music in the 80s.
That's crazy.
And let's see next week how much you remember.
Sucking on a chili dog.
You know what we want to find out next week? Are you going to puff, puff, pass?
Or puff, puff, fail.
See you next time.